All right, Matt Ganningers, we are back. The Masters is in the books, but another big event this week, a signature event, RBC, Hilton Head, Harbour Town, whatever you want to call it. We'll talk Masters, we'll talk Harbour Town, we'll talk Hilton Head. But first, Matt, how are you doing? How did you enjoy Masters week?
Yeah, definitely a fun Masters week. A little bit sweaty up until the last 9 holes, but I thought it was a great Masters in terms of just watching the golf. I thought it was a great sweat on Saturday, some fun golf on Sunday. But yeah, ready to get into RBC Heritage. More money to be made.
Indeed, and I forgot to say this at the beginning last time. I waited till the end, so I do appreciate people who listened through the end and liked and subscribed. But if you haven't done that, like and subscribe, helps us out, gets the pod out in front of more people, so we can keep making the content for those who enjoy it. And as always, really appreciate everybody who is tuning in, who is fired up after the Masters, who are excited for RBC. But as Jer said, let's just get right into it. Let's talk about the Masters. And as we go through the field, we'll probably just kind of talk about guys, vibes, how we think about them at RBC. And then at the end, we'll probably do more of a like RBC specific chat through the numbers. But I think we can both talk Masters results and kind of how that leads into Hilton Head. And it was a great Masters. I think I'd give it what would your overall grade be start to finish on the Masters? I think I will give it a B+.
I was going to say B minus, only just because Scottie kind of ran away with it at the end, but probably lean more towards a B because the last 2 Masters were objectively more boring than this one. I know Scottie took care of business down the stretch, but I feel like last year was just Rahm and Brooks, and then Rahm figured it out in the back 9. 2 years ago, Scottie ran away with it. There's a little bit of drama, but this year there was like 4 guys in the mix with 9 holes to play, so it was better than last year. I'd say.
I don't know exactly what my take is on this or if I have the right solution, but every year we get the same Sunday pins at Augusta, and we see all these tweets early in the day. It's like, oh, we've got the Sunday pins, like going to be roars on the back 9. And it seems to me that the Sunday pins have not delivered much excitement in recent years. I think to some extent, like we saw Saturday for me was far and away the most interesting day. Obviously the windy days were pretty sick by themselves, but like Saturday was a fair setup, but the pins were so tough and the greens were still so firm that even the world's greatest ball striker in Scottie couldn't really get it that close to the pins. And we saw him on 10, like he got a little too aggressive, landed back at the green, shot off the back, made a double bogey. Then on Sunday, we get all these funnel pins and kind of easy to access pins. Like the decisive shots that I think Scottie hit on 9, for example, where he landed on the slope, brought it back. 14, played it perfectly with the slope. 16, same thing. And like, yes, does that mean that Scottie deserves to be the winner? 100%, because he was the one who took advantage of those slopes. But I think we've seen in recent years the guys who are, playing best on their approach play, and then we get these funnel pins on Sunday, and it kind of plays right into the hands of the guy who's doing that. So, yes, does that lead to the best Masters champion? Sure, and that's probably what it should be. But from an entertainment standpoint, you kind of need the crazy pins, the difficult pins, the dice roll could go either way pins to, I think, truly get everybody into the mix in the final round.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a little bit more interesting because Scottie wasn't on his. I mean, he wasn't on his A game all week, I'd say. But the first 2 holes, and he just didn't look dialed. He flew a few greens, didn't really look like he was there, and then he figured it out over the course of the front 9. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Saturday was awesome. There was guys just all over the golf course, all over the greens, all over the back of the greens, and then a few guys took advantage of those slopes. Ludwig had a few nice ones and really made a name for himself. But yeah, no one really did, like you said, except for the Master Champion, Scottie Scheffler.
And we talked about this. I think you tweeted about it. I think we've nailed Scottie pretty well this year. We said players going to win. We said Houston not going to win. We said Masters going to win. And then we tried to come up with guys who could beat him, knowing full well that probably wasn't going to be the case. But we did say, the thing about Scottie is, if any part of his game goes wrong, he's got a solution for it. And we saw it this week. I mean, if you had told me that he was only going to gain 0.8 per round, 3.2 total on approach, like I would have felt like the field had a fighting chance. But we talked about it on the pod last week that at Genesis was the last time he had kind of a poor iron play performance and gained almost 8 strokes around the greens. He does the exact same thing this week. And to me, it's not just a combination of the fact that like his short game skills are insane, because obviously they're insane. It's when his irons aren't totally firing, he's leaving the ball in the spots where he can get it up and down.
Yeah, and like that number 11 is the perfect example. Everyone is not even trying to go at the flag, but just trying to hit the green. And he knew I cannot even try to hit the screen. If the slightest miss left will go into the water. I'm just gonna bail out to the right. Course management, and I can get up and down from there. And there was some that were egregiously, insanely skillful up and downs. Like some of the, I think it was number 2. He might have been over the back of the green and got it up and down. A few times on 12, chipped in on 1. Just like some of those were really skillful, but more times than not, they were just in the correct spot at Augusta. Because if you're short-sided or on a downslope or in a certain spot, you're just boned. You can literally scientifically cannot get the ball in a 5-foot circle. You just cannot. But Scottie left himself in the perfect spots where he could chip it to reasonable. The only time he didn't was, what was that hole he made the double on? Was that number 10?
I was 10, but he was in the bushes, so he couldn't even really get a clean strike on it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the only time I would say on Sunday that was a bad miss.
And I think it's crazy just the point where we're at with Scottie, because it was last year when he was playing this amazing tee to green golf and everybody was saying, oh, imagine if he could putt, like he would be winning every tournament. And now he is winning every tournament. He's not gaining a lot on the greens. He's gaining 1-2 strokes, which is more than enough for Scottie. And he just looks so much more comfortable on the short putts. We saw him obviously miss a couple on the days when it was really windy. But also like those putts were breaking like 4 feet on like 3-foot putts. Right. So he didn't really miss any, especially in the final round. Like all of those ones that he needed to make, he did. And how do you now think about Scottie going forward? Because I tweeted out that he now is in a position where, and we've been saying this for weeks, on the PGA Tour, there's no one can touch him on the PGA Tour. Like there is no one, in my opinion, on the PGA Tour who is skilled enough over 4 rounds to beat Scottie Scheffler when Scottie on a difficult golf course, when ball striking and tee to green play matters. The only time Scottie wasn't like firmly in the mix was Amex, and that's obviously different than what we're talking about here. And then we've got the live guys who will obviously talk about live and what we thought about that performance overall, but it's a fact that those guys aren't getting 72-hole tough golf course reps in. So like, I still think they can contend, they can win, but they're just not getting the reps that a guy like Scottie is. How do you think about him the rest of the season? Because I really think like, yeah, it's hard to win multiple majors in a year. It doesn't happen very often, but I think that should be the expectation at this point. Right. Like just winning the Masters to me, yeah, that's fucking awesome. Winning the Players, that's awesome. He just has the potential to do something insane this year. Win 2, maybe 3 majors.
I mean, how could you not have any expectations? You look at the strokes gained stats, you look at the trends. He is he's near those peak Tiger numbers. So how could you not have expectations that he could win 2+ majors in a year? And yeah, I fully like he won the Players and the Masters in the same season, done only one time ever by Tiger Woods. It's comparable. It's comparable for a reason. And yeah, to mention those short missed putts, he did miss a few putts inside 4 feet, but that was on a day where like the scoring average was 75. That wasn't on a day where guys were shooting 68s and he wasn't chasing the rest of the pack. He still ball struck the hell out of it and shot 72. That was like, it wasn't going to kill him on a day like that where it was just so tough. It's not like you're at the Amex, you're missing all these 4-foot putts, which he did then. So I don't think that's a problem, but he could always miss putts at any given point, but I agree. I think the expectations are fully in the right spot. He can surely win 2+ majors, especially at these difficult golf courses. He's getting these 72-hole difficult tests more than anyone else in the world besides the PGA Tour player. So I think it adds an advantage on the live golfers. So yeah, I do agree with you.
And a couple just thoughts on Scottie. And one of them is, and I think we've said this a lot on here. It's like, if you have the chance to go to a practice round and watch Scottie, do it. And maybe this changes it. Maybe he starts to become like more fan followed in the practice rounds and things like that. But what really, like, you can see the numbers, you can see the stats, and nobody loves the stats, more than me. And they stand out obviously for Scottie. But when I saw him last year at Oak Hill in the practice rounds, that was the first time I'd really like followed him around.
You said he hit one of the best shots you've ever seen, right?
I really followed him around for 9 holes. And it was just like, I've probably now watched Scottie at most major practice rounds, the Players, like, I've almost never seen him hit a bad shot. I really like when you see it in person, it just becomes so clear how unbelievable he is. He never hits a bad shot. He hits, and then from time to time, he hits the craziest shots you've ever seen, the most amazing, just iron shots of varying heights and trajectories. Like, the only time I ever saw him struggling in any way, shape, or form was at Royal Liverpool last year in his first practice round on the back nine. The wind was pumping. It was weird drives. Like, it was the only time I've ever seen him. He stood on a tee and hit like 5 tee shots in a row just because he couldn't quite get it dialed in. But it's also so weird, and you know this watching it in person too, like, because his swing is so unorthodox versus the other players, you don't expect it to come out like as laser straight as it does.
I always feel like it's going to be off. Always.
Yeah, every time.
Even now.
You're like, oh, that's not going to work. And then it's just the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. So if you have the chance, go watch Scottie. Go watch him in a practice round when there aren't people around, because the numbers come to life in the most, like, if you're a golf nerd, most beautiful, insane way that you can possibly imagine.
Yeah, I'm already looking forward to the next time we see Scottie in the practice rounds. And just to compare those numbers, are we going to get crowds like the Rorys and the JTs and the Rickies of the world? We have to. Like, there's just a point. There's a line. Scottie is, I think Dave Portnoy is going to do a great job of just elevating Scottie's popularity. And rightfully so. Like, rightfully so. Scottie needs to be the face of the tour, the face of golf, because it's been these objective, call me out if you want to, losers of the past 5 years who are the face of the tour. Scottie, you're bucking up. You're doing great things for everyone. And Scottie gets a lot of slack on on golf Twitter and the circles that we're in because he wins. If the circle we were in was around when Tiger was in his prime, like, he would be hated. Like, no one would like him. But now, like, we're seeing Scottie, and all we care about is winning bets, winning money, winning, like, all this stuff. And Scottie just steals it from us. If you take a step, I mean, sure, like, I want to win my bets too. Take a step back, appreciate what he's doing for the sport and just how dominant he is. And I can surely detach myself from the bets more times than not. And I love Scottie. Like, he's awesome. But he just gets, like, so much, I feel like bad.
He just doesn't get, but
you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, we talked about it, players. He just doesn't, like, the average golf fan still thinks of the PGA Tour as Rory, JT, Ricky, Spieth. Like, and you go to the events, that's all people want to watch. That's who's being followed in the practice rounds. That's everybody cares about. And I would say there's also live guys. Like, you go to practice rounds at majors, Brooks has a big following, DJ has a big following, Bryson, like, big followings for all these guys. Scottie up to this point has not had that, but he's now doing just, like, off the charts, insane things. And it's up to both the tour, in my opinion, to market that. Scottie himself, like, I don't think there's ever a time where Scottie becomes, Tiger fist pumping and doing all that kind of stuff. We kind of saw him do it a little bit this week, but he's going to always be even keel. So I think there is some aspect of, like, you have to market around him because he's not
going to do it himself.
Yeah, which, maybe that's a fault on him, and maybe he adjusts that over time once he kind of, but
which he can care less.
Right. But if you're a golf fan, he's everything you would want in a golfer. Like, the man, what I love about him too is he never, and I think this week was a perfect example of it, because he definitely didn't have his A game. Like, his iron numbers speak for himself. He was not as dialed as he usually is. I think he mentioned that his ball position got, like, fucked up in the wind, and then he, like, when it stopped being windy, he, like, needed to adjust it, couldn't figure it out. But he goes into every hole, regardless of what happened on the previous hole, and just attacks that hole as it is. And, like, obviously every golfer says stay in the moment, play your next shot. But, like, that was, to me, what really stood out this week. He could make a bogey. He could make a double bogey. Whatever it was, he went into the next hole, got on the tee, hit a great tee shot, and then it was off to the races. His eagle on 13 being a perfect example of that on Saturday. Like, he just has an ability combined with his skills to get in the right mindset and play every hole that's in front of him the best that he can play it. And that, to me, is his secret weapon beyond just, like, all of the statistical things that obviously are weapons themselves.
Yeah, he spoke multiple times this week about how he wanted to just stay in his little bubble, as he called it. We saw him walking with his head down in the fairway, which, I mean, you might not like that. You might want him to show more emotion. And he even talked about it coming up on 18. He didn't, like, hat tip to the crowd. He had the tournament locked up. He wanted to just finish in style, just make par, don't look like an idiot, stay in your circle. And that's crazy, because he knew, Ted Scott knew, everyone knew he was winning the golf tournament once he teed off 18. And he was just still, like, not. I thought there was going to be a moment, like, Scottie gives a wave, Scottie looks up, does just focused. I want to win golf tournaments.
He reminds me a little bit. I don't think this is the perfect analogy. And obviously Novak Djokovic has had a much longer and successful career at this point. And Djokovic, I would say now, especially brings a lot of emotion. Like he gets fired up, he yells at the crowds. But like he's never been loved by like tennis fans to the level of skill that he has as a player. He's an unbelievably skilled player who just does all the right things. Like he's not hitting crazy shots, he's hitting the right shot over and 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 over again. And that's why he wins. Scottie has a lot of that to me. Like he's not flashy, he's not necessarily thrilling to watch. It's just the consistency, it's the level-headedness, it's the perfect golf just over and over again. And I'm excited now that really I said the sky is the limit. Like anything could happen this year. We'll talk about what we think about him at RBC, and obviously he's gonna have a kid, which I think is the only wrench that gets like thrown into this mix. And I will say last thing on Scottie, I think he he 4-putted or 5-putted the 18th green at the Masters when he won it a couple years ago. I was joking that his like signature move since he's been dominating these tournaments by so much is he should 4-putt the 18th green every single time he's up by like infinity strokes, and that can become his trademark move on 18 to just really rub into the field that he's clowning them, because basically every time he wins, it's by so much that it's never even close by 18.
Yeah, it's just another vintage Scottie lapping the field. So impressive, so impressive.
Second place, your guy. I've been back and forth on him. Ludwig Aubert.
My God.
I'm officially, like I said, I have gone back and forth on Ludwig. I've never said anything about his personality. I've always thought he's a cool dude. I love his interviews. He seems like a nice guy. I like his vibes. But I was never on board with the full-on Ludwig hype train. You finished second in your first ever Masters. You finished 3 strokes ahead of everybody not named Scottie Scheffler. That was a damn impressive performance from young Ludwig Aubert.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna get ahead of this now. I think I missed his write up on the site on the Vince Eric site. I just accidentally glanced over and I wrote up the whole field. But yeah, so impressive about from Ludwig. He was just so dialed, and he started off poor. He was over par, like Collin Morikawa, over par to start, but he just head down. Good golf shot after good golf shot after good golf shot. And he knew, like, we haven't really seen it from him on a big, obviously not in a major, but on like a big golf course besides Torrey Pines where he played all right. Like he was just, I love it. I am so happy with this guy. I think he can do it on any single golf course, including Harbor Town, which we'll get to. I really think he can play well here. And it was just so, how could you not like the guy? Just he's the opposite of Scottie, just smiling after every single hole. So much emotion, dabbing up the crowd in between the holes. What is he, 22, 23 years old? Just good guy, Lud. How could you not like him? I've been a fan for a long time now. Well, since he's came up, I've been supporting him. He's got all the talent in the world, all the game in the world. Will surely win a major in his career. I'm not sure if it's going to come this year or next year or even the year after that, but such a great start from Ludwig in his major career. I'm very happy.
Yeah, I mean, he, of the guys who were in the mix, probably from Saturday when it kind of narrowed down to there was about 6 to 8 guys I would say who had a legitimate fighting chance. They probably didn't have a fighting chance against Scottie, but theoretically they had a fighting chance on Saturday. He was the best putter of the guys who were like consistently on TV by far, and obviously the stats
that
back
one
that
on 9 was nuts.
Yeah, he gained eight strokes putting. The next only Cam Smith gained over 4 amongst guys that finished in the top 10. Like you combine that ability with the putter with what he does off of the tee, the floor is so high. What ends up befalling him a little bit this week is the short game, the around the green play. It doesn't look like he's so robotic with how he swings the club, and even his putting stroke is very like metronomic and pure. I don't think he quite yet has that like natural flair and touch around the greens, but that will come with time. And yeah, he up until this point was short course specialist Ludwig. That's what we knew him as. Yeah. So coming to a place like Harbor Town, you would think he has the motivation to, like, you could question the other guys, some of these other guys' motivation. You get in the mix, and what do you bring the next week? He's still looking for a better win than RSM. So
he's so young, like he's just so young, just head down, play. And he talked about, like, I just want to play good golf. I want to play these new golf courses. I want to focus on the task at hand. That's like he talked about after the round, just next shot, keep playing good, just keep golfing, just keep playing no matter what happens. So like leading into Harbor Town, I really like his course fit. I mean, his course fit is drive it so far, but also drive it so straight. If he needs to dial back, he can dial back. Great iron player, great short iron player, great long iron player, and he can get hot with the putter. I mean, he's a short odds. I'm not sure if I'm going to back him, but I definitely like his chances even after being in the mix last week.
Yeah, I totally agree. He'd be in my top outside of Scottie, like who should be next most likely to win the tournament. I think Ludwig makes a ton of sense there. And a question on 11, that was the downfall for Ludwig, obviously, yesterday. Do you think he was trying? Obviously, he wasn't trying to bite off that much, but like that's a massive hook for like how well he was playing. Because they were standing there, Scottie's like, aim at the flag on 12, which was almost off the right side of the green to miss that far left. I just think Ludwig was flying a little too close to the sun there and bit off probably a little bit more than his caddy.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that's on. Like, is that on Joe? Is that on Ludwig? Because I feel like if you're Joe, you just got to stress to him. Even if you hit the green, you have to hit such a perfect shot to have like a chance for birdie. You can't chase not that he was chasing a 3. Just play out to the right because you're not going to win the tournament on 11. You can lose the tournament on 11, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and he'll learn. And I think we saw that he had a couple shots. He spun one back into the water, I think, on earlier in the week too, like Thursday or Friday. We saw Wyndham do that too. We saw why first-time starters don't win at Augusta, no matter how good they are. Now, Ludwig may have won if there wasn't a Scottie Scheffler in the field this week, but there's those little things that like it's not that they don't know it. Like they probably know it in their head, but until you're in that moment going through it, it comes up and that ends up ultimately being what bites Ludwig. The next set here, let's talk about Collin, Max, and Bryson kind of together because those three ultimately were the ones who were kind of there the whole week. They end up fading a little bit on Sunday. You're wearing the Crushers hat.
Yeah, a long-time Crushers fan.
Long-time Crushers fan. You came on here last week and said that Bryson wins the green jacket in his career. He definitely flirted with it this week and kind of played exactly to the stats that you would expect Bryson to play to. Dominant off the tee, and we talked about how crazy his driving's been on live and that he's just hitting it so far and so straight and that he probably was going to set his best off the tee number at Augusta. The irons were fine. The putting was okay, if not great. The short game struggles a little bit, but he basically played Augusta the way that an informed Bryson should play Augusta that he hasn't yet in his career. That was kind of my takeaway from it. He finally just did what he should do at Augusta.
Yeah, I am so high on Bryson's game at Augusta. I do still think he retires with the green jacket. And I got a lot of slack for that on Twitter. They were like, anyone but Bryson, because I tweeted out about a video of saying how the live golfers weren't going to win. But at the end, I was like, yeah, but Bryson will get one. And they're like, Bryson has no chance to win one. Goes out first round leader for the second time in his career, but then played well for 4 rounds. I know he went backwards, but everyone went backwards. He just hung in there, had a chance on Sunday, was there. And yeah, definitely very impressive from Bryson. The chipping, like you said, you nailed that take. You thought he would play good tee to green or ball strike it, and then he did not chip it well. Bryson is a generational putter, but the putter did kind of bite him in a few times, but I'm not worried about that. He will putt well here and he will ball strike it well here. And who knows, like we don't know how good of his form is right now. Like we really don't. Like he played a few live events, but we don't know if he's in great form and okay form. He said he feels good, but like that's the thing with live, we don't know how anyone's coming in.
Yeah, I think his ball striking now is to the point, especially with the driving. And I think now seeing it at a tournament with all the players in the field and like the numbers back it up. I mean, he gained 6.8 off the tee. I don't care what course you're playing, what tournament you're playing, who else is in the tournament. You gain 6.8 off the tee. You're like off to the races versus the rest of the pack. To win the Masters for me, he's going to have to change his chipping approach entirely. He can't use the same robot style like moves that he does off the tee and like with his approach play, even with his putting. His putting looks so uncomfortable versus almost all of the other like contenders, I would say.
So
but and it usually works for him when he has the chance to use his little like green reading thing before the tournament and get like a feel for the greens. He talked about not being able to do that here. But the one thing that like to me can't just be, oh, it's going to be better next year, or oh, it'll like is the around the green play. Like he doesn't have the touch or this like different shots that the other top.
He never has.
Yeah.
He never has had. Yeah.
And that's where like the live thing comes in. We talked about, like I said, like live guys aren't getting optimal reps. That setups on the live courses are just so easy that the chip shots and things like that are so simple that you're not getting tested on the misses. Like that one when he chunked it into the water on 15, which ultimately probably was like, that was kind of the end of the tournament for him on Saturday. It's just like, dude, you can't hit, like That's not a top 5, top 10 golfer in the world shot by any stretch of the imagination. So for me, he is very live at the PGA. I think he's probably not as live at Pinehurst with the short game surrounds there. And obviously the Open's not going to be his best. I think the PGA is going to be his fighting chance. But overall, a great performance from your boy in the Crushers, Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah, longtime Crushers fan. It was a really good week for the Crushers faithful. We're in the streets the last 3 nights. So it was a good week for the Crushers.
A couple of guys who will be at RBC are Collin and Max. And I said it would be a miracle if Collin figured out his iron play and won the Masters on last week. He almost did do that. It was a classic Collin. He said it in his press conference. I found something on Monday and I'm going to ride with it. What's your take? This is the hardest player for me to have like a what do I think about this guy going forward take, because we know what he is. He's a 2-time major champion who went into the final round of the Masters with a chance to get a third major, a chance to get a third jewel of the Grand Slam. Like if Collin had won yesterday, it would have been unbelievable. Honestly, all of his tournaments now are the same. There was back when he was winning majors, when he was winning all the time, there was consistency. It was just, he showed up every week and he just fucking did it. Now it's, I found something on Monday. Every time he plays good, it's because he found something on Monday. Like literally every single time. Go look at his interviews. When he plays well, he found something that week. What do you think about him going forward? Is he just going to be impossible to guess? Do you need boots on the ground to know when Collin's going to play well so you can see if he found something? Like,
well,
what do we do?
Remember when we saw him at the Players and he looked horrendous and ended up playing bad too? Yeah, I mean, Collin, I think outside of Scottie Scheffler, most impressive week. And I mean, he finished high, obviously. But from where his game was coming into the week to where he ended up and how confident he looked on the golf course, unreal. So I bet him at Valero the week before. Could not hit a green and looked so upset after every single drive. He said, I said it on our pod, Collin hits those fades and he was hitting legitimate slices in the fairway that were just landing in the fairway. He looked so much better off the tee and on approach. Very impressive from Collin. And you put it best. Like you said, if Xander or Pat had the heart of Collin, they'd be infinity major winners. Collin has so much want and like go get it mentality, which is what you need to have that in the majors. And clearly he's won twice, and you could say no fans were there. He still won 2 majors, and he almost won a third.
Yeah, I think it's to the point. I would say this is true of both Collin and Cam Smith, because Cam got very little coverage on the week. He finished his T6, but of the LIV guys, he's been the most consistent in the majors since going to LIV. This is his 3rd major top 10 since he won the Open. Like the man shows up and has dog with inside of him, and the short game's always there to keep him in the mix. Like
insane.
If Collin and Cam Smith are over 50-1 in pretty much any major that's not like bomb it fest major, we just got to bet him. I both bit the bullet on Cam Smith this week. I was happy with it. Like he was on the fringes of the mix the whole week. Nobody wanted to bet Cam Smith. No one wanted to bet Collin at 60-1 or whatever he was. Like they've got the dog. They've got the fight. Collin's big right slice miss did show back up in the final round. Like the Collin that showed up in the final round was the Collin that we've seen in all the tournaments this year.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the Collin that shows up in the final round. What do you think about him this week?
Yeah, I'm definitely out on Collin this week. I mean, I never want to really back. I mean, here and there, but Collin's going to be really popular. And what's his number? 18-1, 20-1.
Collin is 20-1.
I don't want to spend that much on a golfer who's played. He played okay in Hawaii, and then this is the only other good tournament he's had the entire year.
Yeah,
I don't want to just go all up top for 1 week with 3 rounds of sample. I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think he's not a predictable golfer by any means. And we talked about this a million times. When you're betting in this range, you need a guy who you can like really trust is going to bring something to the table. Max is also 22-1. Best major performance without a doubt for Max. Completely different level than he's ever played in the majors, especially at the Masters. Consistent. He was just like, he went on that stretch of not making any bogeys or any birdies. Like on Saturday, he was just like pars, all pars. He could not buy a putt. If it had been a blackout, white hot week on the putters, on the greens, Max probably wins. But finally, Max does it in a major. What's your State of the Union on what he did and how you're thinking about him, both going forward in majors and maybe even this week?
Yeah, I think there goes any of his good prices in the majors going forward, at least this year. But it's one thing for him to get off to a great start. What did he shoot? 6 or 5 under in round 1. he could have easily like had like a okay round. Like, okay, Max had a great round 1, and like, okay, good for you, Max. He held till the back 9 on Sunday. That was so impressive from Homa, and he just looked so confident and so wanted to be in the moment. He was hype when he made those 4-foot par saves, a few of those short birdie makes. Like, he was so in the moment and like so impressive. I'm happy with Max's performance. I think he can play well. Like we both said leading into the season, Max is gonna not win, but break through. I mean, maybe even win, break through in the majors, get his name up there. He did that in the first major of the year. Like I said, going forward, I'm not sure if we're gonna want to back a 35-1 Max Homa in a major when we've seen it one time, but that's something to talk about when it gets closer to May.
Yeah, I never ever fully thought that Max was going to win. I'll be honest. Like there was never a moment in the proceedings where I even thought he was probably one of the top. Going to the final round, it was like for me hardcore either Scottie or Collin. And like I doubted Collin all week, but once he was there, I was like, he's won majors, got more majors than Scottie. Like maybe he can do it. Max needed the putter. It didn't get there for him. I will say too, his shot on 12 is sick because like I don't remember this happening for a long time. But now if you go long, it can get stuck in those bushes. And like we saw a lot of guys get stuck in the bushes. Like Brooks' tournament unraveled when he got stuck in the bushes on Friday. We saw plenty of guys back there. It makes that landing just so tight because you obviously have the water in front. And now if you go long, it might come down out of the bark. It might not come. It wasn't a bad shot by Max, but obviously
got a bad kick.
Yeah, but obviously that's the one he will want back because he made it through 11 relatively cleanly, didn't hit it in the water, gets to 12, and that's where the downfall happened. But he didn't hit like it wasn't a bad shot. It was
no. Like that's the shot that Scottie hit the first few days. Scottie was in that back bunker or on that back fringe like the whole tournament, which is like a fine place to play from. Max just hit it on the downslope and it just kicked so hard. Like no one was hitting that green except for freaking Cam Davis, which is obviously.
We'll talk Cam Davis.
And yeah, so Max kind of got unlucky there.
The other T3 guy is Tommy Fleetwood. And before we talk about Tommy Fleetwood at the Masters, I have to inform you that Tommy Fleetwood so far this week on golf.vincerix.com has already moved from 28-1 consensus down to 18-1, 36% move. I'm not sure I've ever seen a guy hammered this hard in the 20s, but it's happening because he was once again top 5 in a major. He's minting top 5 finishes in majors like 4 out of his last 8. But I can't remember a single time in any of those majors where he was ever actually close to winning. Maybe at the Open last year when I think he had the lead going into the 3rd round. But like how I'm not even like shitting on him or saying something bad about him. It's just insane that you can finish top 5 in this many majors recently. And I can't remember one time where I was like, Tommy's got a good shot to win.
Yeah. Well, he was there. No, that was the Scottish Open, which obviously wasn't even major. I'm thinking it was the Open. The Scottish Open, he had a chance. Yeah, another just generational backdoor Tommy Fleetwood. Never one time ever had a chance to win that golf tournament. And I'm just gonna. My tweet has 300,000 views. So I tweeted about Xander and Fleetwood having a non-competitive top 10 finish, so comically on brand and bad for their career. May have worded it bad. It's not bad for their career.
No,
Someone
responded. I'll back you up. It is bad for their careers. It's a backdoor another top 10 finish in a major.
What someone tweeted this: missing cuts is bad for your career. Not winning is bad for your legacy. So I think it is bad for their legacy. Like their career is fine. They're going to make a ton of money, which is they people in the comments took the word career very like specifically, like they thought I was saying they're not making any money.
The career is an like inside joke that we use to describe.
Right.
I think like we use legacy and career interchangeably, but your point is, it's like I don't even have the words to describe it anymore. It's so classic. It's so the worst part about it is now he's being hammered to win this week. Yeah, I get it. Tommy played good at the Masters and he has great course history at RBC. Like, wow, mind blowing. How could anyone ever have thought of that? Like, gotta bet Tommy this week.
Yeah.
And if you bet Tommy at 18-1 to win a signature event on the PGA Tour, I'm sorry, but I like it's the worst bet I think I've ever seen. I had to think about it, but that is the worst bet I've ever
I hope that
seen.
doesn't backfire. Honestly, I hope it backfires. Like, good for Tommy. Do it. One time ever. Like,
Yeah, I
just do
want
it
Tommy to win.
once.
It's no beef. Like, I like Tommy. I've been up his PGA Tour wins. I was the closest. RBC Canadian Open. You bet Tommy in RBC events. That's probably the only
Everyone knows that. I mean,
positive.
that's probably why they're betting.
Yeah,
it.
that's fair. You bet Tommy in RBC events, but an insane move in the odds. And it's not like he did anything at the Masters different than who Tommy has been in the past. If you think this week all of a sudden he's going to win because he was T3 at the Masters, like, what did Tommy prove about having heart or dog? What did he change in anybody's minds about who he is as a golfer? He didn't change anything in my mind. Like, I don't know how he
Good
could have.
playing, Tommy. Good playing, Tommy. That's all.
And like, shout out for finishing top 5 in all these majors, because clearly you're one of the most talented golfers in the entire world. Like, when the conditions get hard, you need to hit good shots. Tommy fucks, but the dog in winning isn't there. And another guy who the dog in winning isn't there. Xander Schauffele. I said last week he has zero chance to win. I said he had zero chance to win multiple times. I'm not afraid to come on here and say, clip it. If I'm wrong, go ahead, quote tweet it. You weren't able to do that, though, to me with Xander Schauffele, because it couldn't have gone more typical for Xander Schauffele. People were betting him at 14-1. That was the worst bet I've ever seen until this week, when 12-1, which was the worst bet I've ever seen until this week, where Tommy is the worst bet at 18-1. If you got him at 28, hats tip to you. But you start with Xander, because I did my Xander bit last week where the numbers are so beautiful. There's going to be green everywhere. Like, you're drowning in green. The consistency, like, this guy's good. Like, going into the final round, I saw the Sunday scoring tweets were showing up for Xander. I was like, everything's coming full circle. He didn't sniff winning from the opening tee shot. He was over par out of the gates. He plays a great third round when no one's paying attention. He shoots even par when everybody else is shooting like 3-4 over. Starts okay in the final round, and then we get the back-to-back bogeys, a missed 4-footer for birdie. Jers, this man, what is your State of the Union on Xander?
Hey, good playing, Xander. Good playing. Yet again, Mr. Consistency. You look at that data golf page. It's a bunch of green. It's a bunch of green. How could you not bet the man? It's a bunch of green. Vintage Xander, along with Tommy, but Xander's just been the epitome of that the last, more recently than Tommy. So, yeah, very vintage. Xander got off to that bad start and battled back, just did his thing and finished. What did he end up finishing? I think it was solo 8. Another top 10 for Xander in a major. Put it on the Wikipedia page. Put it on the data golf page. And we're going to look back at this in 20 years. Look at all these top 10s for Xander. How did he not win one of these? Maybe 3 he had a real chance to win out of all of the major top 10s, top 15s Xander Schauffele has had. Sorry, everyone on Twitter, sue me. Not bad for his career, horrendous for his legacy.
And the reason I was so out on, like, I do the Xander bit with the stats a lot of tournaments, but very rarely do I say he has 0.000 point chance of winning. I said it at the Masters because it's the fucking Masters. You guys, people really thought that Xander was going to win the Masters. Can he win this week? 1,000% yes. Can he win the PGA? Maybe. Could he win the US Open? Probably not. Could he win the Open? Maybe. But it's the Masters. And that was really the genesis of the take, was that he's not winning the fucking Masters. But I do like him this week. I'm not putting him on the do not bet list. I'm not going to bet him because the odds are still insane. But Xander could win the RBC Heritage. It'd actually be, this winning would be up there with being bad for his career as well. To come off of the Masters after blowing the Players, kind of not even contending at the Masters as the most bet person, and then winning
and finishing
RBC
great
would be.
It just feels so eerily similar. It feels so eerily similar to 2022 non-competitive top 15 finish at the US Open at the Country Club. Next week wins the Travelers in dominant fashion. It feels like that. Similar style golf, played well here last year. Outside of Scottie Scheffler, is playing the best golf on PGA Tour. But you know who else was playing the best golf outside of Scottie Scheffler last year? Patrick Cantlay. And every single week, it made sense for him. That's what I'm nervous about, because this feels exactly like Patrick Cantlay last year. Great ball striking form. Course that makes a ton of sense. Obviously, Patrick Cantlay has better course history here, but just on a weekly basis, this guy's playing so good, and he hasn't capped it off with a win. Do I want to bet that Xander on a 10-1? It makes so much sense. Yeah, but
Xander can, like I said, he's in my can win this week. I'm not saying he can't win. I wouldn't be shocked if he won, but He's 11-1, I think right now is like the best number. It's drifting. I bet it'll drift a little bit. Maybe get like a 12 later in the week. He hasn't won a golf tournament since that stretch you just talked about. Like from an odds perspective, to me, still not a good bet, but he could actually win this week. But it's also a course where, just to talk a little RBC, it's like, it's very hard to really distance yourself from the field, like strokes gained total. The winners of these tournaments don't gain, they gain between like 10 and 14 strokes. Usually you need like 16 strokes or more to win a tournament. And we've seen playoffs here. We see it tightly bunched like every single year. Yep. We see guys charge up on the weekend. It's just not a week for me to go a guy like Xander at 10-1 to win a tournament. That'd be my Xander take on this week.
Narrative Street, it makes so much sense. Just numbers and odds. I agree with you, but we'll see. We have a few more days to decide. I bet we're both in the same consensus that it makes sense for Xander this week, and definitely could notch another win. Bad for his legacy.
Actually, not. Who do you like more this week? Cam Young, T9 at the Masters, Will Zalatoris, T9 at the Masters. Who do you like more at RBC? And do you have any general thoughts on backdoor? Definitely for Will. Cam Young was kind of in that position all week, but definitely did not mix. They played fine. They're top 10 at the Masters. Good job for them. How are you thinking about them going forward and at RBC specifically?
Yeah, Cam Young is another clinical ball striking season, as well as anyone not named Scottie Scheffler. Honestly, he continues to just parlay great ball striking performances. Zero guts. Finished T3 here before, was a first round leader here before. And Cam Young has played all right on club down courses. Not like Cam Davis good on club down golf courses, but Cam Davis is the answer for every question ever, by the way. But yeah, I do like Cam Young this week. If I'm seeing 30s, I think we can sprinkle that. I think that could definitely be a bet. It might be a popular bet though, because the numbers look a lot of green, like Xander Schauffele, a lot of green. But does he have that spike week to peak and beat the field? He has not yet, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think Cam Young's a fine bet this week. I usually shit on Cam Young, so he's definitely under consideration in a way that he wouldn't normally be for me. 6th in the model. And a big thing here is winners usually have a high finish previously at this event, which he checks that box as well. Zal, we both were on him. Played fine. The putter still wasn't great. He didn't get the Augusta bump on the greens, which would have got him closer to being into the mix. I think
Thursday afternoon really took a lot of wind out of me. He finished bogey.
17-18.
Yeah. And then went out on Friday in the tough conditions and just never got it going.
And I do have to say, I love, of these guys, I like Will the most.
Okay.
That Thursday finish, just overall, he's been in the heart of the mix more than a lot of these guys who don't win. So I give him the edge over them for that. I think I have him in my head as a dog, as a killer. We're still only have one PGA Tour win at the FedEx St. Jude, which is a tournament that Lucas Glover won this year. So not like he beat Sepp. Like, I needed to remind myself to not pump up Zal as like this absolute killer yet, even though he's been closer to killing than other guys. He's your guy. Like, I think you get what I'm saying. I'm not saying it bad.
No, I agree.
But like, he's your guy. How do you feel about it?
Like, I don't think this is the best golf course for him, but I don't think it's the worst golf course for him. I like that he's gaining strokes with his irons, which is really important on a golf course like this. He doesn't have to hit driver on every hole, can maybe hit some woods, some long irons off tees, which makes sense with those gaining strokes with the irons. Can he get to 17 under? Can he get to 19 under? That's a question, because he hasn't been putting good. I don't really want to ride, let alone Will Zalatoris' putter, but a bad Will Zalatoris putter right now.
Yeah, I agree on that for this week for sure. I think I was more saying like going forward in the majors. I think what's your number on Zal? Just take an average, let's say PGA, or just like an average major course. What's your number where you're like, I got to bet Zal, versus where you would like think about it?
35, honestly. Yeah. Like, just bet these 30 to 40 to 1 guys that are just like they got heart. Like, Zal finished T9, showed some heart. He wasn't in the mix. He didn't blow it, but he fought to the end. Didn't play his best golf. I don't even want to say Cam Young. I mean, Ludwig showed heart in his one major. Just good numbers of guys that are showing heart. Like, you guys, if you're listening and you listen every week, you should DM me and shit on me for talking Rory McIlroy up. What am I thinking? You tried to warn me. What? No dog, no heart. Pathetic bet, Matt. Pathetic.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. And I did. You said you on the pod. You said you weren't going to bet him. We talked about it. Like I said all these things because my take on Rory is always the same. I don't care what he's doing in any way, shape, or form with his form. I don't think he has the dog in him to win majors anymore, especially at the Masters. Again, the Masters to me is in a different tier of majors. Obviously, like the desire the guys have to win the Masters is unmatched. And to me, that adds extra pressure and like extra.
Yeah, I'll bet him next year.
Stuff. It's just like, do you think he gets the green jacket at some point in his career? Like if I gave you
this week was so like,
this week he missed the cut last year. Like at least,
but this made cut was worse than last year. I think even though he missed the cut, this was so pathetic. He had playing with Scottie, never got it going. Reached all the par fives in 2 yesterday. Played them even par. It was never a time where he can get something going.
Here's my thing.
So pathetic.
So the last time he was T22 this year, cut year before. He was second in 2022, but not in the mix at all. Cut in 2021. And then we go back. He's got these top 5 and top 10s. Really watching him this week closely, he's obviously going to gain off the tee every course that he ever plays, and especially at Augusta when he can just hit these giant draws. You watch him play with Scottie, and even a guy like Xander, like I'd put Xander ahead of him too. He doesn't have the shots with his irons to win the Masters. He doesn't have the shots. Like he can't control the flight the way that Scottie can. Now, obviously, Scottie's in a different tier, but like even Xander, like every shot for him, the one on 11 was a perfect example on Friday. Xander misses out to the right, flighted, but like he wasn't going to get it high up in the wind and hook it into the water. Scottie, perfect fucking shot. Only Scottie can hit that shot. But then he goes again. It's always a full swing. It's never a fucking knockdown. It's never controlled. It's only these full shots every single time. And now other guys also hit it really good off the tee. Scottie's a better driver a lot of times in these big events than he is too. So that like giant edge that he used to have over everybody, especially at Augusta, is less than it was before. I genuinely don't think he wins the Masters. And I've been saying this now for a couple of years, and I think it's because he doesn't have the iron play to do it.
Yeah, what I saw this week, I'm agreeing with you, and I think I'm leaning towards that camp. And this is now, I think, 3 or 4 straight Masters I've bet Rory, and I don't know if I could do it again. I don't know.
I appreciate you putting your hand up, taking the that was a bad bet card, because it was a bad bet. It was. I'll say like my bad bet was he didn't play terrible, and I actually said going into it I didn't want to bet Brooks. I felt like I had to bet Brooks.
Right.
Brooks did what Brooks does in the majors that he doesn't win or contend in. Like he kept trying. He tried good. He was there Thursday, Friday a little bit. Like he wasn't in the mix, but he wasn't like out of the mix. He just needed like some things to go right for him. And then he went long on 12 on Friday, and that kind of then once he can't win, he doesn't give a fuck anymore, and like he's not going to try to win. But hand up, I should have trusted my gut on Brooks. I didn't like it. Brooks is my guy, and when you feel in your heart that your guy doesn't have it, that's such a tough spot to be, because it's like you feel like you have to bet him in case you're wrong. But I'm glad my Brooks like sensor was at least in the ballpark.
You were leaning towards no going into the week, but he's your guy. Just play the hits. It's all right.
Cam Davis, great effort, Cam. 350 to 1 official pick of the week for the Vincerix pod. I have nothing bad to say about what Cam Davis did. It was a vintage Cam Davis. Some of the best, most unbelievable shots you've ever seen. Go look at Jersey's tweet about the pitch that he hit on 15, because it may have been the greatest pitch I've ever seen. Like the man has unlimited skill. Unlimited. Like he has more shots maybe than like he can sometimes hit better shots than Scottie. Like he has that much skill, but he also can make a quad at a moment's notice. But new flow chart, over 125 to 1. You bet Cam Davis. It doesn't matter the tournament. It's the Masters or the Rocket Mortgage or anything in between. Over 125 to 1, you bet him. If he's under 125 to 1, you don't bet him because he has no shot.
Did you see his double on 17? How he did it?
No, I was done consuming Cam Davis content by like the 3rd hole on Sunday.
17, tough golf hole. Hit it to above the flag, 15 feet, putted off the green. Made 4 putt.
See, I love it. I love it. Like you need that from Cam Davis to get the full experience. So I tweeted on Saturday that like any hole he continues without making a quad gives me a little bit of hope, because he got off to a great start on Saturday and like you knew something bad was going to happen. There was no world where he hit it. And then 10, he didn't even, somehow he misses the fairway to the left on 10. Like almost impossible to miss the fairway. I could go out there right now. I'm a terrible driver, and I guarantee you I could probably hit the fairway. Like the easiest fairway probably to hit on in professional golf. And then he makes double because he misses the fairway left, then starts getting scrambling, gets over aggressive. But
absurd up and down for double. Absurd.
Sick. Like the first, we didn't even see it. Like the first one, he rolls back to his feet, and then he must have hit an unbelievable shot on the second one. He doesn't give any fucks. I love Cam Davis. He's one of my favorite players. The problem is, what are his odds this week? I bet they're going to be terrible.
Yeah, no, Cam Davis has no chance this week, and he's going to be so popular.
66-1. Why do we do this? Why do these things happen? Like, why can't we have
because of his course history?
I know, but
so good.
Why can't we have nice things? He was just 350-1 at the Masters. He plays good. Obviously, he was never going to win the Masters. Now he comes to a course where he's also not going to win because it's Cam Davis, but we can't even be involved because he's 66-1.
Yeah, which I'm okay with. We got ahead of him. We got our name out there. Like that was our official pick of the podcast, Cam Davis, and he was one of the 4 golfers who had a chance to win going into the weekend. Like fucking Cam Davis, and not that he had a real chance to win, but he was there. Like third to last group on Saturday. That is a win for us. So Cam Davis, what a showing. And he, like we said, like you said going into Sunday, Cam Davis was either going to shoot 65 or 77. He ended up shooting like 2 over par, but this man had within 8 feet on 5 of the first 10 holes, hit it closer than anyone on the entire day, and just happened to not make the putts. But he went for it. He went for that Sunday 65.
His press conference too. All of his, like the whole week, his press conferences were like, guys, I'm trying to win. Like it's really, like he basically was like, it's really hard and I'm actually not as good as the other golfers, but I'm going to fucking try my very best because like this is the Masters. And that's what he does. And he came out gunslinging. There was moments of brilliance. There was moments of disaster. But 60, like, which is a worse bet to you? Tommy at 18-1 or Cam Davis at 66-1?
Or Tommy. Like it is. It's Tommy.
It's but at least Cam Davis is one on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, you have to give your take on why Cam Davis isn't the number 1 player in the world.
So Cam Davis would be a top 5 probably player in the world. But for people who don't know, Cam Davis, obviously from Australia, when he moved to the US to play the PGA Tour, this man moved to Seattle, Washington. I'm from Seattle, Washington. I lived in Washington for 25 years of my life. Any professional golfer who voluntarily moves to Seattle, Washington is an unserious player. Like, it rains 8 months of the year. Most of the golfers are in places where it's sunny every single day. 365 days of the year, they can practice their golf. Cam Davis is choosing to live in Seattle. It's an insane decision to make. It makes no sense. Cam Davis, you could be maybe a 2-time major champion if you moved out of Seattle. No one loves Seattle more than me, but come on, man. What are we doing? So yes, that's my Cam Davis take. But I will say I saw a video first. Well, I saw a video. Okay, all the majors, every major we bet Cam Davis. We'll be on him at all the majors. But I mean, he was T4 at the PGA.
Makes so much sense.
He was T4 at the PGA, and then he mixed at the Masters. Like he's playing 2 of the last 4 majors. But he plays Sahali, which is a course in Seattle that hosted the PGA Championship way back in the day. I've caddied there. This is the most narrow golf course in the world. Look up, if you're listening to this for the first time, you don't know anything about Sahali, look up pictures of Sahali. The tee boxes literally sometimes have trees so close that you can stretch your arms out and almost touch the trees on the other side. And so it finally makes sense now why Cam Davis fucks on all these short positional courses. He's
wow.
There's no drive scarier than and he's in drive for Sahali. I saw videos of him doing it because it was like someone I knew like played with him or something like in Seattle. That's why Cam Davis fucks on positional courses, because he plays at Sahali, which is the most narrow golf course in the world.
You got to get him. We got to get him to Sudal. He would win even by 12.
We didn't DM him and say, like, go play Sudal, whatever the prize money is, like, give us 10% because you're easily winning that tournament. It's probably like, I don't know, you win $1 million on the DP, give us like 50 grand. Cam Davis, please.
That was the best segment of Vince's pod.
So that's a solid 15 minutes on Cam Davis, but he earned it with his performance, because when we come on here and we give out 1 pick for the Masters and it's 350-1 Cam Davis, and there's he's like on the mini leaderboard on Saturday with like Bryson and Scottie and all these major champions, Ludwig, and then Cam Davis. Vic, every fucking time that's a Vic for us. So shout out Cam Davis. We'll dive in hard quickly to RBC, but any other guys? Obviously, there are some guys who played fucking terrible, who it's almost like they don't even deserve our time of day to talk about. Because Sam Burns, like I need to talk about God. Sam Burns, actually.
Yeah.
He's my guy. Like, Sam Burns, my guy. 100%. I said last week on when we did a stream on Wednesday that he had 0.0 chance to win. The 80-1 was a horrible bet on Sam Burns. But it's pissing me off. Bro.
What's he doing? Like, what's his deal?
Why are you shooting these horrific numbers in the majors, man? Like, what is going on?
He's living with Scottie during the week. Like, how do you feel?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
It's sickening to me. I don't like, he's still my guy, but I almost don't want him to be my guy anymore when you're out there playing the majors like this. Like, dog, heart. Those are the things that I come on this pod, and those are the things I value. And I'll shit on guys when they aren't showing heart or dog. Like, people know that. I'll do that. So this is me saying somebody that I love as a player and has won me a reasonable amount of money in my days. Come on, Sam. The fuck.
Come on, be better. Be better. We should talk about Nicolai too once we get
there. Before that, Spieth. You bet him. What's your Spieth?
Yeah. Another horrendous bet. What am I thinking? I wrote up about Spieth. I should have taken what you said about Jordan's press conference more seriously, because he sounded lost in the press conference, and you said, I don't know if Jordan's ever going to win again. Obviously, like, sarcastically, but just that's how he sound. And why would I put a large sum of money and bet a 25-1 Jordan Spieth when, like, yeah, he's got the course history, but the way the golf is going, you have to take chances, and the new guys are blossoming. Take the chances on the new guys. I tweeted, and when I bet my card, I said play the hits. There's new hits coming out. We have to let these like young guys blossom and get on them before they get too chalky. And like I said, we might not get another 60, 80, 70-1 Max Homa in a major, at least for the foreseeable future. Get it while you can. And obviously he didn't fucking win, but you know what I'm saying. I shouldn't have bet Jordan.
Saying like, you're like an old father who, like, his son's listening to this new music and he hears it in the background and he's like, this music fucking sucks. Like, turn that shit off. But then next thing you know, he's in the room kind of vibing to it. That's kind of what you're saying was your experience of the Masters. You wanted to play the old hits, but you've now realized that this new music might be better than the Beatles and the things from the past. Because that's basically what, like, JT, Rory, Spieth, they're the Beatles. And they're great. And we can always remember those beautiful moments when they were flying over and barnstorming the world. But yeah. Nicolai, our guy. I was rooting for him. I had no money whatsoever on Nicolai. I wanted him to win. It didn't work out. He imploded, but that's okay.
Immediately.
But that's okay because Nicolai is still only, if Ludwig's 24 and a half,
I think
Nicolai
23.
So Ludwig obviously ahead of him on just overall consistency and overall, like, golf. But Nicolai is sick and he deserves a shout out. And it was great to see Nicolai in the mix. He led on Saturday at the Masters.
He led it. He was winning on Saturday for a hole, and Nicolai was 100-1, I think, or maybe even longer around.
He had
but
to be more than that.
We talk about Nicolai, like, bet on that talent. We talk about Nicolai. You said it first. You think Nicolai is going to be a top 5 player in the world. You have all of my belief that he will be, and I agree with you. And we saw it firsthand. You don't just come out and do that at the Masters if you don't have elite skill. And Nicolai has been doing it for a few years in Europe, won big tournaments in Europe, Ryder Cupper, and he's doing it at Augusta National. Nicolai is now 16-1 to win in Punta Cana. I'm not saying that's a bet, but like it's where he is right now. I'm just kind of talking about it where he is. Nicolai showed guts and showed heart, and he kind of had some bad holes on Sunday, but all is good in the camp of Nicolai.
And just to quickly go back to, like, the PGA Tour playing the old hits versus the new hits. Why the fuck is Nicolai playing in Punta Cana and not in Hilton Head? Are you shitting me right now? Like, what are we doing? Nicolai, one of the best young studs in the world of golf. And he's not playing on Live because he wants to play on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, that is
and you're making him go play in Punta Cana. Are you kidding me? Like, honestly, like
I'm clipping this.
I tweeted out, like I said, it's not about playing better, it's about playing politics to get into these events because of Webb and Kiz. And like, sure, people are like, oh, Webb's a defending champion. Yeah, cool. Where is Nicolai? Why is Nicolai not in this fucking turn? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Who is it benefiting? No one.
Nobody.
Like, ridiculous. All right, quickly. We've already talked about shit for an hour, but we got to give me your keys for Hilton Head. What are you looking at? What matters to you?
Approach play, precision, accuracy, have a short game. Course history is important too. More trending approach play is probably the biggest key for me. Yeah, nothing crazy.
To me, it's spike approach play. Like we keep talking about these trends and these stats about spike approach play. They keep hitting, even though obviously last week Scottie, but still it happened. +6 approach effort within your last 3 starts. A lot of the recent winners check that box. So guys who have really been spiking in recent tournaments, and then a top 10 finish at this course. And when I get to those guys, tell me of these guys who you like, because on the filtered down list of like these guys can win based on the trends, here's who I'm coming at you with. I won't give you everything. Go to vincerics.com, obviously, if you want to see the full list, but just a couple of guys who will be popular. First one, Shane Lowry.
Yeah, Shane Lowry, generational approach right now. Look at his approach stats; they are insane. But like we talked about with other guys, Shane Lowry has not won shit in his entire career. Like he has as little wins as anyone on the PGA Tour, and he's always a very popular bet. But you kind of play Shane at Shane courses, and he finds himself in the mix. I think he could definitely get himself in the mix, but I don't trust him on Sunday.
What are his odds?
Famously chipped in the water when he was he leading at that point or near the lead?
Yeah. Oh, he had like a 2-shot lead. I was on him.
Oh, yeah.
Had him.
Okay. Wow.
But I would say he opened at 60s, 55 now. There might have been better prices out there. That's not a fine bet.
That's a fine bet. Might be unpopular, but that's a fine bet.
That was the same price he was at the Masters.
That's crazy.
So I think like Shane makes sense. And his odds are just elevated versus everybody. Like, I mean, here's the odds board. Scottie 4, obviously, that is what it is, but I don't think he's going to win. He also might not even play if his wife gets worse. Cantlay, what's your Cantlay take? My plan has been to bet Cantlay here all year. I think apparently he opened at 25 and I missed it, but now he's moved 20%, and I only bet the drifters list now. So I think I'm out, but like bet him every week until the Open.
Yeah, I mean, if Cantlay beats me here, he very well might. This is a course he's talked very highly of, how much he loves it and how much he wants to win at this course. He wants the jacket. It's pretty obvious. And he hit the ball well at Augusta for the first time in a while. He gained 4.5 ball striking, and he hasn't gained that much since Riv. Lost on the putting greens, whatever. Always plays well here. I mean, if you want 1 week leading in sample size on Cantlay, he's got it. Great course history. Going to be popular. I don't know. No, I don't think I'm going to do it.
Gun to head, you can only bet 2. You can only place 1 bet. Xander at 11 or Cantlay at 16. Who would you pick?
Xander.
Wow. I don't disagree. I
just feel like he's going to cap off this ball striking with a win. But I also said the same thing about Cantlay capping off this ball striking with a win last year. Because Cantlay's ball striking last year was truly historic, and he didn't win. Xander's ball striking, I wouldn't say it's historic, but it's second to Scottie. Cap it off with a win, I hope.
Hypothetical 3-ball. I'm not even going to put Fitz back to back. We saw Spieth almost go back to back last year, and we know that Fitz treats the Masters as a warm up for RBC. So I think he'll play potentially. Well. Yeah, he'll play. But here we go. Wyndham Clark 30-1 has made 5 for 5 cuts in his career at this event. But that was before he's the Wyndy C that he is now. Wyndy at 30, Siwoo at 35, or Theegs. Who of these 3 do you like the best?
Siwoo, but why is he 35-1?
It's disgusting. It really is. Like
he's in my short list of 3 guys that I like, 3-man card I want to bet Siwoo.
But you can't bet Siwoo at 35-1.
I think I agree. An elevated PGA Tour event.
At least, yeah, some of these odds are just brutal. Like Cam Young's
because the field is just short. It's just because the field is short. That's why.
But that usually means that like we leave the range of despair and we end up seeing some numbers down here that we should like. Like JT, no. Finau sucks now.
Wait, what is JT?
40.
That's crazy. Like That is insane. That is insane. I think he's like first round leader guy though. I think he just is so mad and comes out and just guns blazing. Because I don't think he's. What did he finish stat wise? I don't think he hit the ball horribly.
At the Masters?
But it was 2 rounds in horrendous conditions.
No, he hit it pretty bad. He lost.
He did? Okay.
The only thing he did good was around the greens, and he putted terrible again. And like, you need to putt good at this course. And
all right, maybe then I'm out as your team. That's 40 is an insane number.
Do you like Russ, Connors, or Harmon the best?
Russ didn't hit the ball well again, and I figured that he wouldn't play well because it was just one good week of irons. But the course makes a ton of sense for Russ. Connors has been so consistent. If there's ever a Harmon course, I think this is it. That's a tough 3-ball. I will have to go with consistent Connors.
I'm going to take a stance too on a statistical take here that this course over the last 3 years, especially as the fields have improved and the better players have been in it, distance is mattering more and more. Like the 3 winners here the last 3 winners here with these better fields have been 12th, 2nd, and 5th on the weekend driving distance. The number 1 correlated stat for the week is going for the greens, which is in going for the greens, like a combination stat of distance plus like aggressiveness. And so
so Wyndham.
So I like Wyndham. Like he's still 30 to 1.
But like I don't like Wyndham. But that's a good number though. And the number is like drifting back to like where it should be.
But not even like I didn't say that to say Wyndham specifically. I was just gonna say because this 3-ball was Henley, Connors, Harmon, and we were talking about Lowry earlier too. Like this to me is no longer just bet the positional guys. Like I think there might be some value actually on distance guys who people haven't quite done the realization that this course is becoming more and more biased by distance because guys are just fucking sending it and they don't care.
Well, because I mean, you think about that, they haven't really. Bombers never played this course really. This would be a skip spot. I agree. Now they're forced to play it. So
yeah, so I think this is now a Bombers course to some degree. And so when I look at guys who bomb it and like have okay stats, he's never going to win. But Ben On, this seems like a Ben On golf course to me.
Ben On,
75 to 1, not a bad price. What did he finish at the Masters? He played good there for a second, right?
Yeah, he finished. The back 9 was bad. I think he finished like T22 or something. But
T16.
He had T16. He had a really bad back 9.
What's his course?
30 to 18. I don't think it's anything crazy. Or it may get a ton of made cuts. T7 here in 2018.
I don't hate it. I'm not going to bet
outside of that, nothing.
But like this is the range of guys that have been. This is where it starts to get interesting these years. The guys who make sense but have drifted into the 70, 80s and above. Like this is where we should be betting. I genuinely think so. Like, but there's lot of
Ben On's been so popular at golf courses that he's been played well at in the past, and he hasn't really come through. Now, like people are off the Ben On, and I was so high on Ben On last week in DraftKings and in like $6,700, and he worked out. So I like this. I like it for him here.
Random Euros of the week range too. We didn't do random of the Euro segment last week, and that's probably why we didn't get Nicolai, because we would have been talking about Nicolai if we did random Euro of the week. We forgot. So but we did. Ludwig's not random, but it was his first major, so he kind of fits random Euro of the week. We still always have a random Euro in the mix. We talked about Lowry. It's a no for me there on him being random Euro of the week. Stevie Eggs, Pavone, Tommy Dietz, Justin Rose, Shamey P. I'll toss the Canadians in there, Hadwin and Nick Taylor, and let's add a South African, Eric Van Rooyen. Random Euro or Canadian or South African of the week. Who do you like?
Seamus Power.
Shamey. I like it.
He's gaining on approach. That's all I know. That's all I got to say consistently.
Shamey P. Yeah. T6 here in 2019. There you go. So who is
won the RSM? Did he win the RSM?
No, I'm always on him. He Gooch won, but there's asterisk, so technically Seamus won. Who is your like contender? Like who's under consideration for you right now?
Siwoo, like honestly, Xander, Keegan Bradley under consideration, had one of his best iron weeks of late recently. Doesn't have any insane course history, but this feels like a golf course that Keegan doesn't have to overpower. I talked about position and just spike with that precision and iron accuracy. Can find a hot putter for sure.
And
80 to 1.
Winner after the US Open last year. Signature event the very next week at the Travelers. So strokes gained played.
So Xander the year before that. We're doing it. We're doing it.
You're telling me there's a legitimate chance your card is like Xander 11. I don't hate it. I was even having a hard time, like in the write-up, I usually like list off some guys that like, this is where I'm leading this week. I'm just going to quickly fly through some names because I need your opinion. I don't have a strong feel this week. I think Xander, he'd be favorite to me, most likely to win. I absolutely refuse to bet him at 11 to 1. I'm not doing it.
No
I
beef.
literally, I don't even think I should go range of despair. Like Ludwig, I like Ludwig too. I don't know if I can do it at 14 to 1, but I actually might like that more than Xander at 11 to 1. Cantlay, I've said I'm betting him here all year, but I don't think I can do it. Tommy, fucking terrible bet. Collin, terrible bet, odds wise. Max, 25 to 1. What do you think about
I
Max?
bet him here last year and he was horrendous. I made the Pebble comp. He's okay at Pebble, but he's not been good here. And he's been literally on the record. He said it both in the interview and on part of my take how wasted he was getting last night. So bad
Yeah,
vibes.
you did. I'm good on Fitz. I'm good on Zal. Spieth 28. Not terrible.
Where's his game out? Someone we have to talk about. He's already gearing up to be the most tipped golfer of the week. Tom Kim.
So let me tell you something that's gonna just
let's hear it. Here we go.
Biggest movers, golf.com. Get over there. Get a look at the movers list. Nothing to me has been more predictive this season than the drifters list or the guys who aren't moving at all. Every single guy, even at the mix, not just Scottie because he was 0, like he actually drifted a little bit, but his odds like consensus wise stayed the same. Every dude in the mix was the same. Collin was like 0% or drifter. So like I love the drifters list and I hate the popular list. And who's at the top of the popular list? Tom Kim is actually ahead of Tommy Fleetwood in like most hammered this week. He has gone from an open at 80 consensus to 50. I think he opened over 100 on some books.
110.
I mean, no. Hard no.
One good round at Augusta, Sunday 66, Paul Tesori on the bag. It makes sense. Yeah, okay. But outside of that one good round, he's been playing like dog shit.
We're not the world's greatest bettors by any stretch of the imagination. I think we're solid enough golf bettors. But I will always say, we're not the ones to ever chase the crazy numbers for the most part. Now, your Masters card, we just had that discussion there. Maybe not.
Play the hits, man. Play the hits.
But I just don't get why does it happen? Why does at least, I mean, sure, was 100 to 1 maybe a little bit high, but it's not even like his course history is here is good.
Miscut one in one start. It's the story. I mean, I don't know if it is. It's just Tom Kim on a short course. I don't know if anyone's thinking like the story.
No, I don't think anyone's thinking that. I mean, maybe like some real ball knowers, but I think for somebody to get hammered this hard, it can't just be the ball knowers. It's just like group think, yeah. Like everybody just fucking is like, I'm betting Tom. So, but like, fuck, I might bet Cam down at 30 to 1.
I don't hate that.
Like, anytime we do this pod, I feel like, and we go through the top of the board and I don't say a guy that I like, it's always to my benefit to just skip them and go further down the board. I'm like starting with 30 at CY is not a terrible bet to me. And then from there, I think I'm just going to sling some names. Like also the price is terrible. He can't win because he doesn't have course history. This is definitely an Akshay course. He has a view of the ocean from the course.
It was irons last week.
But what did he finish?
I think he's -5 irons. I could have been out looking at something wrong, but can you double check for me?
Yeah, I got you. Akshay was -5 irons. Let me see. He went I don't know. I didn't see enough. I saw him hit some sick around the green shots. He gained 4 shots around the greens. He was hitting some dope shots around the greens. I'm going to guess that Akshay just got too aggressive and hit some like iron shots that like paid the price as a first time starter. So I'm not going to assume like there's something wrong with his iron play. Now, maybe the shoulder, that'd be my one like consideration, but either way, at whatever he is, 60 to 1, I can't do it anyway. But I think I'm just going to be slinging down the board this week. Start with CY and just kind of see what happens because Fitz was in like the 30s when he won here last year.
Yep.
Jordan was in like the 50s when he won here after missing the cut at the Masters. I just don't think this is an event to really.
I agree.
Unless you love him, which it sounds like you love Xander that much and you're going to.
No, but I remember thinking this last year because I went up to the top. I bet Cantlay last year, I think. And I know he almost came through, but I thought like in the first round of the golf tournament, I'm like, this golf course brings everyone into play. Don't chase that. Like bet numbers, like compile a card. So we'll see. It's still early.
All right. Yeah, there's only 70 guys in the field, so I feel like we've covered a reasonable amount of them today. Shout out Lucas Glover. I said every lineup, get Lucas Glover last week.
Nice.
Played great. Played fucking great. And this is a Glover course. He can sling his way around. What's Glover's course history?
I don't think it's as good as it should be. He played infinity times though.
Weird. Yeah, it's not great. The
Yeah.
short game just is so bad. Yeah, I don't like it anymore.
1 top 10 in 21 trips.
That's enough for me. What about Sepp? Sepp played good with the Masters. Sepp has dog.
Sepp did, dude. Sepp has dog. Yeah. He finished T3 here in 2022.
Ball striking. When Sepp gets the ball striking going,
How did he hit the ball last week?
Sick. He gained 4 on the off the tee and 5 on approach. And
What?
he gained around the greens. And I bet we might have to.
How did he not win? I'm down.
He didn't make any putts. The putter was cold. But like, he's a great ball striker. He really off the tee. He's so consistent. And when he gets to these courses where it's more longer irons, and he almost won this tournament. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sepp.
What's his number?
75-1.
Yeah, like that Keegan, Ben Sepp range. I'm down.
Taylor Moore played good last week. He has heart.
Red State.
Yep. This time for sure. The Purple State, he got off to a pretty good start, but I think he couldn't figure out whether he wanted to mix or not. And he kind of settled. Where did he finish? He finished like T20. That's perfect for Taylor Moore. That's a good result for Taylor Moore. He didn't know if it was a red state or a blue state, so he couldn't decide, do I want to win? Do I want to miss the cut? T20 at the Masters. Purple State, we don't know if it'll be red or blue yet. If he had won, we would have known.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Adam Schenk.
I was going to say Adam Schenk, yeah.
120-1 on Schenk.
He's heating up back in the Masters next year, and he's found something. He hit the ball well at Valero, I believe, and played all right in the Valsport. He heated up this time last year. Down for some Schenk.
I'm looking if there's anyone else in the model. Oh, Tom Hoge.
It's course fit versus it's form versus course history. Course history is not great, but the form the form makes so much sense. He's in amazing form.
He's been terrible.
Doesn't make sense. Like same thing at PGA National. Tom Hoge has horrendous course history, but should make a ton of sense there, and he's never really came through. And now here, he's horrible course history, but should make. You think about irons and precision, that's Tom Hoge, and he's been striping them. He's gained, I think, in 11 straight on approach.
Who do you like more between Eckroat and Chandy Phils?
I mean, Chandy Phils is showing us something with the irons. He's found something, but I think just have to think by class. Eckroat, at least for right now, he doesn't have the around the green game. Eckroat literally chipped like a child last week. Which that was my.
Yeah, I'll clap that. I told BK that Eckroat couldn't chip at Augusta. But, yeah, good tournament. Like I said, I think the play, I got to figure out who I'm going to bet. Obviously, it'll be on Ben Serix. But I think there's a hidden distance bias here that's, not being discussed enough about this course. And to your point, probably part of it is that, the Bombers weren't playing this course because they knew it wasn't for them. We're seeing more of them. You got to be aggressive. You got to send it. Going for the green is one of the stats that really pops off. And we see a lot of mid-range prices, longer prices when at this event because it does still, even with the distance edge, it's still going to bring everybody into play. What final winning score? What do you think it's going to be?
We'll go with minus 18.
I was almost verbatim going to say minus 18. Weather's supposed to be good. So, yeah, the cream will rise to the top, but it's going to be jam-packed.
Oh, my God, it's a no-cut event. Xander's fucking winning.
I like Xander. If you listened last week, I hated Xander. I said it was one of the worst bets I've ever seen. I like Xander this week. I'm not betting him. You might bet him. Xander Schauffele. What is that?
It's the Live logo.
If Xander or Cantlay ever wins a major, I think they're gone to Live the next day. I was actually thinking about that going into this week. I was like, who if they win the Masters is just gone to Live?
Honestly, it looks like the freaking Vincerix logo.
Kind of does. We need to get some of the.
No, Adam, look at that.
Actually, there we go. Call them up. Call the Saudis. Send them the money. We're in. We don't have the morals to overcome being offered the bag from the Saudis. So send them our way. But yeah, all right. Masters, it's in the books. We got RBC Heritage. What's your take on having the signature event the week after the major?
Not really sure why. This could have been a great Zurich week because the guys who want to play the Zurich would play the Zurich, and now they're forced to play the Heritage. Even I don't know. No, but whatever, it is what it is. Golf is so dumb.
Can Rory win this week?
It makes no sense. He doesn't have any course history, but that's when Rory would win, right?
Yep. Yeah, TBD if we'll do a Zurich pod. I know you're a fan of the event. It's big for you, but we'll probably do a short one. We'll do something.
Hadwin and Taylor bad beat.
Did you have Wyndy, or is that Wyndy just popped in that event, right?
And I tweeted
right.
early in the week. I said Hostler and Wyndham at 25-1 is the worst bet in the history of golf, and
Didn't
they almost
hit.
won.
Didn't hit. That still counts. It doesn't. Saying something's the worst bet in the history of golf doesn't mean we don't think that they can play good. I said last week I thought Xander could finish second. Like Tommy should mix this week. Tommy should finish T3. You shouldn't be betting him at 18-1. Jers, Matt Gannon, thank you. Get over to golftopandserix.com. Get to benserix.com. Jers always has good stuff there, as do I. Jers, talk to you later.
Peace.